we understand the timeline with Jackson. Is the expectation that is the opener in play, or you think it'd be on the opener?
You know, it probably won't be. I can't say that for sure. Jackson says he's going to play, but you know, the trainers and doctors will have to release him. But he's staying in shape. You know, I don't think it'll affect Jackson that much. He's in great shape. He knows our stuff. You know, he's paying attention, all the things that we're putting in new. So I don't think it'll affect him much, but it'll slow down our progress as a team. He's our only experienced guard. Drew's doing some good things. Carter is, but TK doesn't have experience. Wade doesn't have experience. I was really hoping that Jackson could, you know, really bring the team along here early. So I think it's going to slow our progress as a team down. But as far as Jackson's concerned, I don't think it'll slow him down at all.
So if it takes the fourth out, the following game's only a couple days later. So you're looking more in game 3 for Rice at that point, probably at least.
I think South Dakota State's our third. Rice is second. So, you know, I don't know. Again, the doctors and, you know, we had the doctors here in town. We also had a specialist in LA who works with a lot of NBA teams take a look at it. You know, they both agreed on the procedure to get it healed. So, again, just a matter of when the doctors will release him.
So who fills in for him during his absence?
Well, Way, you know, we'll get an opportunity to see what he can do. And TK will take some time. Drew, you know, Carter's taken, you know, some reps there at the point. So be kind of by committee. But obviously Jackson's a big part of our team. And so his absence and his experience, you know, is what we really miss because all those other guys are new.
Is Jamari then moving more to 2?
Yeah, Jamari, you know, he could play some point for us, but you know, he's been shooting the ball really well. But we look at him more as an off guard.
What did you see with some of these international players? When added a good number this year, what did you see with those? But how would they kind of fit, and what's the expectation early?
Well, their experience, you know, is what really in the NCAA opened the door, you know, for some guys that traditionally haven't been able to come over and play. But Way has 3 years, Big E has 2, FA is 3, you know, so those guys, you know, have some opportunities to develop in our system. The 2 that'll get the most time here early are Way and Ezekiel is what he likes to be called. And so they'll get the most time. FA's behind them and right now is dealing with a little bit of a foot problem, and Sasha's been out with an ankle, so he's fallen behind. But those other 2 will play a lot for us.
And how does that international competition compare to NCAA competition?
Oh, it's different. You know, the FIBA rules are a little different. Big E took one off the rim the other day, which is offensive goaltending, but over there it's not. So there is a little adjustment. But, you know, Way played with Joe Young and Damian Dotson over there, so we knew, you know, they both said he could really play, so that helped, and he can. He's going to be a good player for us, solid. You know, right now he's just a little too aggressive offensively, taking some bad shots. We got to, you know, find that fine line. I don't want to take away his aggressiveness, but you know, he's got to do a better job of deciding when he's got to look and when he doesn't. And Ezekiel is just big, you know, and played against men, you know. So, but you know, he's a big fella and it's been really easy to work with here. Trying to get a feel for, you know, he set some illegal picks that we got to get cleaned up. We got to get some of his fouls cleaned up, but he's big and talented. I think he can be, you know, a pretty good player for us.
A lot lot of new faces just on this team this year. How have you kind of seen them kind of gel and connect together throughout the offseason as we inch closer to the first game?
Well, I thought we had a good summer. I thought the guys really did a good job the weeks in the summer. We didn't add, some of them until September when we came back. Big E, Way, and those guys all got here when we came back after Labor Day. So it took a while for them, and it's going to take a while for them. They're going to be a work in progress. We got a lot, like you said, a lot of new guys. The guys with a lot of experience, KJ, Jackson, and Nate, have got to do a great job here early. And then Jamari was on the team. Sasha, and Dez was hurt, but they didn't get to play much, because of injury, because Jamari was just a freshman. I like their talent level, but Sasha was hurt a lot. Dez was hurt a lot. So those three guys know what we're doing, but it's going to take a while for them to get more time, more experience. But they are the six guys returning along with Luke and Drew. So we've got some leadership there. Those guys know what we're doing. But Dev's going to be a big part of the team. TK is going to be a big part of the team. We talked about Ezekiel and Way, those guys. And Sean Stewart is going to be a big part of the team. So got a lot of new guys that are going to get time, going to get minutes that were not with us a year ago.
And then just from a coaching perspective, what are the advantages of having a team that has kind of a blend of people who have experience playing international ball and then people who have played here and played college ball for a little bit?
I think those international guys do have a different experience, but it is basketball at a high level against older, mature players, which we face a lot more now than we used to. So again, I agree. I think having those international guys with their age, being a little older, their experience helps us. We've only got one freshman on the team, JJ Frakes, and it's going to take a while for him to come along because all the other guys are older. But he's been making progress throughout the summer and now. So we do have a good blend of vets back that are older. Nate's in his fifth year, KJ and Jackson in their third. The other three guys that I mentioned, Dez, Sasha, and Jamari, are just all with us 1 year. So we do have some guys back, and we do have a lot of new guys that have experience. Sean Stewart, I forgot to mention him, a lot of experience coming in from Duke and Ohio State. He's been in college ball 2 years. Dev was at Texas for 2 years. TK at Elon, a little different level, but he is talented. So we do have some nice experience coming in from the portal.
And then talking about KJ, Nate, and Jackson, can you elaborate a little bit more on how you've seen their leadership develop just from the end of last season to now?
I thought all three worked really hard during the summer. They've had a good fall. I need them to be more vocal. All three of them are kind of quiet guys. They're not so quiet off the floor, but on the floor they're quiet. And I need them to be a little bit more vocal since they know what we're doing. Help the new guys out just a little bit more. But all three of them have worked hard, and I think that's the first step in leadership. Guys got to respect your work ethic. They got to know that you're going to work really hard, and they all have that established. Now I just think they need to be a little bit more vocal. The word "we" is a great leadership word. We need to work harder. We need to rebound. We need to defend. We need to move the ball. And all three of those guys have the respect of their teammates, the trust of their teammates, to give us some leadership and be a little bit more vocal.
Where have you seen the growth from KJ, maybe most prominent this offseason?
I think he's more aggressive, and we need him to be a better rebounder. Defensively, he gets a lot of deflections because of his length. Needs to quit reaching and drawing some fouls, but he's got good length and he's getting some deflections. Rebounding needs to continue. I want to be able to play him at different positions so we can play a big lineup, so we can go small if we need to. his versatility allows us to do that. So he's worked on his body. He's worked on his conditioning. He was really in good shape. He got sick and was didn't practice for a few days and has been dragging a little bit, but we need to get him healthy and get him back to what he was doing.
What do you want to see on Friday night? Like, what sort of expectations do you have from that exhibition?
We're going to get a lot of guys on the floor. You know, we've been practicing since the 29th of September, and we just need to get some guys on the floor. Try to do some of the things we're going to do. We haven't got everything in offensively or defensively, so but it's big for us. You know, we need to get out and play somebody, get a lot of things, you know, on film so we can show our guys against a different opponent. And then we have Stanford on the 30th at Stanford, which will give us another opportunity. We'll take the 31st off, and then we have 3 days to get ready for Hawaii. So it'll be on us pretty quick. But Friday's kind of the first step to get some things against a different opponent so we can show film, show guys where, you know, fundamentally we're not correct. We've been showing them practice film, but in the practice film you got one team that does something good and the other team does something bad. We want to just focus in on our team and see exactly what we're doing against somebody else.
And besides the expanded scholarships, so therefore there's more opportunities to be had. You've always dabbled into international players, but what made the opportunity to bring in these 3 guys this year combined with more scholarships? What, not everybody brought in 3 international guys. You already had one. So what made this the right time to bring in this many guys?
Probably, you know, their talent level, you know, is what excited me, especially on the 2 guys that are going to play right away for us. Their experience overseas, the reports we got on them, how they fit our team. I think that was probably the biggest thing. You know, I think the portal sometimes can be risky. Overseas, international can be risky. There are no sure things. A really talented freshman, sometimes, especially if you look at the Sweet 16, the Final 8 last year, there were many freshmen playing. And so even talented freshmen sometimes don't make the impact. You know, there's not many Coopers around Lag that, you know, can really change a team. So we just felt like this year, James, those were really good fits for our team. We needed a backup point guard with some experience, and Way really fit that. And we lost Supreme Cook, who gave us a level of physicality when he was healthy last year. He fought knee problems all year, which kind of took away from what we anticipated he could do for us. But it wasn't because of him. It was just he had little nagging injuries. And but we feel Big E, you know, can give us a lot of those things. He's bigger than Supreme, not as experienced here in the States as Supreme was, but I think can give us a lot of the same things.
The schedule last year, it is what it is, you know, with the league and whatnot, but the one-off to Minnesota was an oddball last year. I know you won't complain about one-off to Lincoln, but 2 one-offs to LA and a one-off to Lincoln, and then going to Chicago, coming back just to go back to Chicago.
Is what it is. You know, I know it's going to be a lot of travel, but like I said, they didn't move those schools. We knew what we were getting into, you know, and so we just, you know, I think the football team's done a great job. Go to Chicago, win. Go to New Jersey, win, and not complain about it. Just go play the games. And I told our team, don't want to hear one thing about it. We know what we got into. It is a lot of travel, but take care of yourself. Get your rest. We'll work around it as far as practice goes to make sure we're ready to play game day. But we're just going to have to make the best of it, and we will. The guys will fight it. They did a good job last year. We were 6-4 on the road, won some close contests. So we just, in the conference, we were 6-4. So we just got to figure out a way to stay healthy, stay fresh on the road, and again, the school's been great. We've got a big plane so the guys can stretch out, and it is what it is. Again, Maryland Rutgers is a long way to go to play basketball games, but 2 new places. I haven't been to either place. Obviously, our team hasn't, so it'll be fun going and playing in Maryland. Will be good for KJ right there in his backyard, and then going to New Jersey and playing the second game on that stretch.
I think injuries have just kind of been a theme throughout the last couple seasons. Already hearing that there already have been some players that have suffered some injuries or some things that they're dealing with right now. Is there anything that you maybe have learned throughout your time coaching that has helped with that, or is it simply just something that sometimes you can't control and you just have to find a way to go around it?
Well, I think sprained ankles are always part of basketball team, but we have incorporated some things that the NBA does to help alleviate some of those problems. Jackson breaking his hand, just ran into a guy in practice. I don't know if there's any fix for that. Things are going to happen. It's a contact sport. Everybody thinks basketball, we don't have any pads on, and Big E does weigh 275. You run into him, it's going to hurt. So Nate's at 250. We've got some big bodies out there, and we're trying to play physical. I felt like we got beat a couple games on the boards last year. So, we're got some rebounding drills incorporated where guys are going to run into each other. You got to get them ready. So, but no, we've really looked at what we do in the weight room. We really look at what we do conditioning-wise. Some of the things that I think have happened, whether it's Jermaine running into a guy at UCLA and hurting his shoulder, Dante's knee, those are things that you're going to have some injuries when 15 guys are out there and they run into each other. The things that we have avoided are the muscle injuries, which I think you have some control over there, like hamstrings and some of those things. We've been pretty good on knees, and I think that's a strength thing. I think we do a really good job of evaluating players and seeing if they have any deficiencies that we can address through training. And that's where the Mariota Center, I think, does a tremendous job of evaluating where our players are at, their mobility with their ankles, their strength, and their hip mobility, all those things that may lead to an injury. I think we do a good job of evaluating that over at the Mariota Center. You had one, James.
Why was this finally the year the right time to play Gonzaga? Neutral site, and I realize it's an NIL component and stuff, but after fans have wanted this for a long time, obviously. It's the two top programs in the Pacific Northwest are just, you met all the way in the Caribbean a couple of years ago. But
I'm not sure. The NIL component probably did have something to do with it. We're going to play in Seattle either next year or the following year. I said in the next couple of years we'll go up there. Mr. Kilkenny wanted me to do it. So, but no, I'm not sure. Mark's really never wanted to play us. I was never really sure about playing them. So it just worked out this year for both of us to do it. It's kind of hard for Mark being an Oregon grad, and it's just like, I don't really want to play Creighton. I don't really want to play Kansas State or any of the schools I've been at. And so it just one of those tough things that, Mark, I'm sure, has feelings for Oregon, and you don't really want to play him if you have to. And Shakur missing those 2 free throws, I still remember that. So, but no, it'll be a good game. And, I hope fans get excited. Jackson's excited to go back to Portland to play, and it's always fun to play in the Moda Center, so looking forward to it.